report that covered all of the aspects of the demolition of the building, including the possibility that the town could apply for a $50,000 grant. He informed me that the grant period is coming up this fall. So I just wanted you to be aware that our intention is to apply for that grant. And so, you know, we'd rather not spend town money at this point if we think we can get $50,000 for that part of the project, and then we would move forward with the demolition. So I just wanted to kind of give you that, you know, next step piece so you're aware of what we're planning to undertake. I also wanted to mention that the Bill 1864 that the town of Harpswell introduced to the legislature, it was called, or is called, an act to facilitate the reconstruction of storm-damaged commercial fisheries facilities and infrastructure. That was passed by the Maine legislature this session. It was considered emergency, and therefore it was signed by the governor, and it has become law. We immediately, or our planner immediately notified some of the fishermen who have been waiting for this law to go into place. So we're hopeful that some of those storm-damaged fishing structures can now be replaced, you know, through a pathway. They still have to go through a pathway at the town level. They would need a variance, but Maine law is now making it easier for that to happen. So I think that's a good place to be. It took us a while to get here. I know it's been frustrating for some of the fishermen that they can't, you know, replace buildings that they've had for many years in a time frame that they wanted to do so. But anyway, I'm pleased that there's now a way forward in that area. And again, it's very narrow, this law. I should, you know, remind people that it's only focused on those structures that were damaged in those January 2024 storms. So it may be something that we can build on. It's actually applicable across the state. It's not just Harpswell, but I think there's going to be more storms, there's going to be more damage, and I think the fisheries is going to need more help in that area in the future. One more item that actually two more items. Mark Eierman of Plan Me, that the town is contracted with to kind of essentially be our project manager for the boat launch at Mitchell Field. He's informed us that GEI, the engineering firm, has submitted all of the plans and specifications and estimates to Maine DOT. We're getting some DOT funding for this project, and DOT has to review everything and give the green light before it can come back to the select board and be put out to bid. DEP has raised a few issues that now have to be addressed by GEI. There are some certifications that the town will have to make about, you know, proving we have ownership of the property, we have the right to use the road, those kinds of things, but those aren't necessarily hurdles to the project. One other issue that Mark Eierman raised was the town had always intended to bid most of it as one project, but to have a few alternate sections in case we can't afford the entire thing. So I think we're going to go back to that. The alternate section probably has to do with parking, because we want to get the boat launch built, and we may have to give up in some areas if it comes in over bid. So that's just something to bring to your attention. But we had hoped to have it in front of the select board in June, to have you review the final specs and to okay that it could go out to bid, but we're not quite there yet. So I think July is the time frame we're looking at now.
And we'll be able to get those certifications.
Yeah,
at
I
the
think
state
those
meeting
are
by then.
fair, you know,
See, they look
certifications
pretty-
about the utilities on the
Right.
property. Maybe they want to see our deed from the government.
pretty straightforward
Yeah, I think
stuff,
so.
but-
I don't
right.
think it'll hold things up. But I do think there were some issues that Maine DOT raised that will take a little more time for GEI to respond to. And so that kind of just extends the timeline a bit.
Do we have any idea what those were? It was.
I
it was in here,
recall
exactly,
that
fine.
I thought DOT had some concerns about what the plans showed where the boat launch was attaching to the shore. They wanted a little bit more information in that area. They also wanted more information about how we were going to control the construction site.
Yep.
That seems kind of minor in the scheme of things. I
Yep.
think this attachment to the land seems like a more important issue that they want to make sure we're dealing with appropriately.
They
so.
seem pretty simple, though, in the scheme of things.
Hopefully,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful that's the case. And then I guess the last item, so I will be meeting with Steve Levesque. He has been authorized by the board before to work with the town on negotiating with Merry Meeting Shellfish, which is located at Mitchell Field. It has an oyster hatchery. The business has been required by the town to put in a well and a septic system. They had a year to do that. It's taken longer than expected to go through the planning process. They need more land than what they have on the current lot to get both the well in and the septic system. So they're going to need to lease another lot. And we want to work with Steve Levesque on what that lease fee would look like. And I wondered if there was a member of the board who would like to participate in sitting down in those discussions, and then we would report back to the full board. Or at some point, we might have an executive session, and you can all be brought up to speed before you make any final decision on what that lease rate
Either way,
might
it's good with me.
be.
Yeah, I'll keep doing it. That
You'll
was
do
part
it?
of the first
Okay.
lease.
All right. It has to go to the planning board because this new lot, we have essentially a subdivision at Mitchell Field, and that lot has to be approved by the planning board. So that's going to take a little more time, and we're probably going to have to grant another extension on this, this issue of getting the septic in. I think the well can be located on the lot that's currently being leased, but the septic, there's not enough space for it.
Right.
And I will say, for anyone who's listening, the applicant or the vendor, the owner of the company, they're going to be required to put the septic system in. We're going to give them permission to do that, and we will eventually, become the owners of that infrastructure if or when the lease ends or they no longer are in that location. So we're not putting up any town money to put the well or the septic system in. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
All right. Consent
Catching up on
agenda.
things.
Exciting.
I move the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes and a road name, which I'm assuming you guys are going along with Gosling Run.
Goslin Run.
That's the choice. And committee resignation, which is actually the planning board. That's Howard Leviton. I would accept his resignation with regret. Steward appointment, which is Michael Mozzoni for the town land steward. And Cumberland County Communications contract, letter of support for the Brunswick Mid-Coast Athletic Recreational Complex, and authorization of the warrants as usual. That's my motion.
I'll second David's motion.
All right, all in favor? All right, Peabody Road project, tree removal.
So the road commissioner, Ron Ponziani, is here tonight. A little bit of background on this. We've been working on the Peabody Road capital project, and the board signed an agreement. Allstate is going to be undertaking that project with the subcontractor being Labby. They're going to get started in a couple of weeks, but there's some tree removal on the sides of the road that need to happen. And Ron, maybe you can just talk a little bit about the proposal you'd like the board to approve tonight.
Ron Ponziani, the road commissioner in Harpswell. What these trees are, some of them are just, what do you call it? Advanced maintenance or something like that to make sure they don't cause problems when we do get a road that's good to drive over. And some of them are in the ditch area. A lot of them are in the ditch area. When you go by there, you think in your mind is that road is about 5 feet wider than what the side of the road is. So, and you'll see the pins. I've highlighted the lot pins up in with orange reflecting paint. So a lot of them are right in the right of way. So if we can get rid of the first little bit on the left-hand side and then up over the hill, things won't be falling in the road, and we're going to pull those stumps out in the ditch and get the water flowing. And then it goes across under 123, and it goes to the bay, which has got plenty of room for more water. And should turn out to keep the road better for a long time, I hope. And right now,
We do too.
what's that?
So we hope so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This-
So,
Have they
yeah,
ready to-
so anyway, I got this estimate 2 years ago, wasn't it? I think it was 2 years ago I gave it to you.
2 years? I think it
And
was
he's
last-
still stuck right to it. He
It was
said,
last year, but,
Was it last year? Yeah, this is the second year.
yeah.
Yeah, that-
Yeah, so, I talked to him, and I said, he said, that's okay, don't worry about going over, it's not gonna go over, and if you find another 1 or 2 trees that need to come down, just tell me about it, or if I see them, I'll take one down, it's dangerous. And I said, okay, 'cause I did understand that I might have missed 1 or 2 up on, near, I don't know, Jordan Road, I think it is, off on the right, going from the north end coming in. So he said he'd take care of it. Whatever's in the way, he'll get rid of it. And so, yeah, he's been awful good to be that patient. I didn't know anybody be that patient to wait, but he's eager to get going. And what I want to do is get this stuff started so that we don't have him in the way of Labby's, and we don't want Labby in the way of him. He's going to be dropping trees and getting out of there, and so I want to get it going as soon as possible.
So it says here the town has all the paperwork, so he's insured and all of that. Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I move that we go with Merrill Earth.
I'll second it.
More discussion? All in favor?
Yep.
Thank you,
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, wharf applications. I believe you're up, Tim. Tim's.
Which Tim?
I said,
You were going to be here. But, yeah, well, I can say is that we had a site visit on Tide Mill. I don't know which one is first on your agenda. I didn't.
doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyway, there was no objections, no neighbors. It was just Tim and I for the site visit.
Really rebuilding a wharf that was there, right? And extending it out
Right,
a
just
little
going out farther into the, so that it can be, the float can be in the
bit.
water.
Actually in the water sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit better than it is.
Yeah.
So that was, no problem that I could
It's
see,
wicked tides up there in the basin. I mean, it's-
yeah.
I'm good with it.
We can do them
That
both
was-
at once.
Okay, but the
Same-
other one is basically just
same guy.
expanding the float out 2 feet farther. And obviously, it's in a big enough cove where it is not an issue for navigation. We didn't have a site visit there, but we had one just within the last 2 years when it was put in the first time, so there was no issue then, and I don't see any issues now.
Yeah, I'm set.
Yep, I'm good. You good? I don't see a problem. I move to approve the applications as the harbor master indicates. There's no hazard to navigation, no injury to the rights of others in relation to fishing, fouling, or navigating.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All righty.
Hi.
American Legion Post 171, request to sell tickets at Pammy's Ice Cream Parlor.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this one.
Michael A. Doyle, 224 Ash Point Road, Harpswell. I am the commander, Post 171 here in Harpswell, American Legion, and we're looking to get permission to sell raffle tickets at Pam's Ice Cream Stand. We have to raise funds for various projects we have for both veterans and school students. And this is one of the ways we have of doing it. We go around to different locations and try to sell raffle tickets, and I understand I need to get permission in order to do that at the ice cream stand. So that is why I'm here.
And I have absolutely no problem with Legion doing that.
No, me neither. I can't second it or motion it quick enough, so.
I can't think of any, so.
Well, so I'll make a motion that we allow it.
Then I'll second
I got
it.
it. All in favor? Voting yes?
Oh, I thank you.
Yep, no discussion. All right, request for use of town property, a giant staircase.
It's getting to be a popular spot for this kind of thing.
So Diana is here with us this evening, and she is the applicant. Feel free, Diana, do you want to explain your application?
Okay. Yes, I can. I'm sorry, I didn't know what the process was. So I'm a location scout manager. I live in Brunswick. I've worked in Harpswell quite a bit over the last 25 years. And I'm working with a crew from a company called Altered State. It's a women's clothing company. We're requesting to do a couple of shots at the Giants along the pathway at the Giant Stairs. We're also working with Eric and Penny Winter at their house at Spindrift Lane. So we're doing some shooting there and are basing some vehicles there, and also working with Dave Conrad over at the Driftwood to park some vehicles, and Sally at the church has also offered to let us park some vehicles over there if we needed to access the stairs from that side as well. We're not a big crew. We're a crew of about 15 to 20 people, but we would limit the amount of people on the pathway to only essential crew and talent. And everybody else would either stay at Spindrift or Sally's or down at the Driftwood. Our plan is to be there on, just pulling up that, on Monday, July 14th, if that was possible. And we'd be there in the morning. Not exactly sure of our call time yet, but typically, we start somewhere between, I'm not exactly sure if they're wanting later in the day or earlier in the day. We usually work a 10-hour day in general, and our day on that day will be shooting at Spindrift first, and then hopefully shooting on the path after that. And then we move around lunchtime to Cook's Lobster, and we're working with Jen over there to shoot for the afternoon.
So be careful of the poison ivy. There's a lot of it there. So you know what poison
Oh,
ivy
is
looks
there?
like, I guess, right? So
I do. I have a whole horrible patch at my house I have to deal with in my woods.
yeah.
So,
Don't get off the
but I'm
path
glad
and
you
you'll be all
told
right.
me that, because people wander off the path sometimes. So I'll make sure to tell. I did point out
They
some
won't
the
do it
last time
again.
that we were there. Yeah, they'll only do it once. So,
Nice.
but yeah, it's a beautiful part of your town, and we really appreciate your willingness to entertain the idea of having people film there. I mean, we're not doing film; we're doing stills.
Will the public still be able to access the stairs while you're shooting?
Yes, of course. Usually what we do is, move out of the way so that somebody can walk through. If for some reason they walk up to us right when we're in the middle of taking a specific picture,
They photobomb
and maybe
you.
we just, they can photobomb and be in the catalog with the lovely ladies. And then we just hopefully ask them to move through or where they want to be, and we always get out of their way. This happens to be a very nice crew. They came here earlier in the spring, and we shot mainly down in Cape Elizabeth, although we were at Spindrift and Driftwood as well. And so they loved the Giant Stairs area so much they wanted to come back.
So the last folks that did this, there was a fee,
Yeah, I
And I
think
don't
Yeah.
300.
300, yeah. And that's
Yeah,
that's
of course.
acceptable.
Yes, totally acceptable. And if there's additional permit fees, we're happy to incur those as well.
Well, I move we allow it.
Yeah, remind me what day of the week this is?
It's a Monday
It's a Monday.
Yeah.
with a Tuesday
spoke-
rain
I-
date.
Is there something happening on Monday?
Yeah, you're going to be there taking pictures.
Okay, good. Yeah, that would be good. I talked to Terry when I came to town hall. I think it was last week, and she said that you prefer a weekday, obviously. So
Yeah, weekends get
that's
pretty
why
busy
we
down there.
scheduled it that way.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I've been there myself on the weekend, so I know it's hard to park and all the other things.
Well, it was hot enough yesterday, there was nobody there at noontime. I went by boat, and there wasn't a soul.
Wow.
It would have been the place to be, too. There's a sea
You would
breeze.
think,
know.
you would think so.
Not on
I
that side, there
know.
Sea
wasn't.
breeze.
Oh, yeah.
I was over to the
Out
western.
west,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I was lucky. I'm shooting Cape Elizabeth yesterday and today, and thankfully we're by the ocean. It's
So I
a little
move
relief.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I-
It's all yours.
Go for it.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. We're really looking forward to being there and always appreciate working with you guys in the town of Harpswell. Thank you.
Fisheries Committee appointments. I believe this is you.
Yeah, I can take this. I'm looking to appoint the 7 members to the Fisheries Committee, in hopes that we can have our first, meeting on July 9th, and we planned on meeting at 5 PM the second Wednesday of the month, right after Harbor and Waterfront was actually gonna move to 4 PM to accommodate us. We have received some applications, and the committee itself, calls for, specific members: a shellfish harvester, lobsterman, pelagic fisherman, scallopper, aquaculturist, wharf or marine-related business owner, and harbor and waterfront committee member.
Looks like you've covered it, too.
I think,
Looks like, yeah.
I was gonna say, based on the applications we've received, we have each one of those covered, as well as some extras, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So if you want, I can go down through the list and list where each applicant falls. Does that work for, how do you guys wanna do it?
Yeah, you can for the public.
Yeah.
I think the rest of us know.
Yeah, because I've read this over, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shellfish harvester would be David Wilson. The lobsterman would be George Prince. The pelagic fisherman would be Jerry Lehman III. The scallopper would be Seth Walker. The aquaculturist would be Samantha Bohan. The wharf or marine-related business owner would be Allison Hawks. The harbor and waterfront committee member would be Billy Saxton. And that would fill all 7 positions there. And then we did have 8 applicants, and it is a public meeting, so if there are other people that they're more than welcome to come and contribute. It's a open environment, and I mean, they can certainly come and contribute to the committee that way, the second Wednesday of every month. And go from there. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, I didn't see David Wilson's name on your list.
It,
it came in
he came
after.
in yesterday.
Late.
We got it, he came in late. So we
Typical
did get an
David Wilson
application
spot.
from him yesterday.
No, have we already approved the mission statement?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
did, okay.
Yeah.
Too much water under the bridge here, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you want to move?
Oh, I can move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second
Make
it.
the motion.
I'll second it.
So,
All right, all in favor?
hold on, you're the lead, you're the
Hey,
chairman
We're all,
now.
we're all looking at
Exactly.
each other here.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks.
No, I mean it.
No, I'll be all right.
All right, Central Emergency Service Building next steps.
Yes, so the voters approved the $6 million bond for the Central Emergency Services Building, and we did receive a proposal dated June 20th from our architectural firm, Port City Architecture, and Andy Highlands, the chief architect. He laid out for the town the steps that he would follow and the potential cost to the town. I don't think that it's a huge surprise to us. I mean, we knew going into it that they generally, look at their contracts as being a percentage of the overall project cost, so I think that's fairly consistent with what we expected. But tonight is really for discussion purposes only, because we don't have the bond yet. It takes time to go through that process to get the funding. We do, however, have about $60,000 left in the first article that was approved by voters to look at this project, and it said anything that we hadn't spent in planning for the project, could be put towards the construction phase. So we believe we could use that money and enter into an agreement to get going on this project. And so we've asked Andy Highland to kind of do.
Please, before it gets any more expensive.
What?
The
Yeah,
price is
yeah.
only gonna
Oh,
go up.
I know.
It's not
So,
gonna
I think one of the things that he's raising in this very first proposal is a model called the construction manager at risk approach, and maybe Tim Clark is familiar with that. But Mike Drake, our fire administrator, and myself, we had a phone conversation with Andy Highland, and he talked about why he recommends this approach. It's not quite the traditional approach of design, bid, build. It's also not just design, build. It's a little bit of both, kind of. But you do essentially select your general contractor up front, is for basically this guaranteed price. So it's something the town needs to think about. It's being recommended by the firm, and I thought you might want to refer it to the Fire and Rescue Committee. I mean, it would have to be a meeting that they hold fairly soon. It could be a joint workshop with the Select Board and the committee, if you'd like, and Andy Highland would come and talk about why he's recommending this approach, why the town should move forward in this direction. And if we do, then we can sign something that allows us to begin that process of going through the selection of basically a construction manager at risk, or more like a general contractor is kind of how I view it. So
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
would be
if
a good
Mike
idea.
Drake would like to add anything at this time.
Mike Drake, the fire administrator. I just think what they're proposing, it's more accountability for the contractors. So if you do the regular, you're familiar, if you do the design bid build, it doesn't guarantee any prices. And having this contractor that's kind of liable for the price, I think it's beneficial to the town.
So,
So do you like the idea of referring it to the committee? Would you like it to be a joint meeting or a workshop
yeah.
where we invite the architect?
Joint sounds good, because
Okay.
we'd all have to get together eventually anyway.
Yeah.
That seems
so-
like the quickest way.
Yeah, you
I
don't know
think-
most of these guys anyway, so you have a
Yeah.
chance to meet them.
I think joint would be good, too.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay,
Whatever's the quickest.
okay,
Yes, please.
Of those guys, will meet the drop of a hat.
All right, perfect.
yeah, okay.
They've been wanting to meet.
I
We will work on that. So I didn't want anyone to think that you were signing a contract tonight for anything. This is really just for discussion purposes, but
Says
we're
so right
moving in
there.
that direction. Yeah, I know. And then Terry and I are meeting with a financial advisor tomorrow, the same advisor that we met with initially for the bond for the removal of the pier at Mitchell Field. So we're getting all that advice, and
Seems like
eventually,
a long time ago.
I know, eventually we would come back to the board with the recommendations or advice that we get from the financial advisor.
There'll be a workshop with the financial
Oh,
advisor.
okay, thank you. Yep, yep.
Okay.
So those are the steps we're working on at the moment, but I do think scheduling that joint meeting would be a priority, so I'll work on that. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Accept Community Resilience Partnership Action Grant regarding flooding.
I'm
flood.
going to ask Mary Ann Naif, who chairs our Resiliency and Sustainability Committee and also our
She's on her way.
Conservation Commission,
Among
to
other
talk about
things.
this grant, because Mary Ann worked on proposing this grant, submitting this grant, and now we are in the position of being able to receive the grant. So she's our resident expert.
Not quite. Hi, I'm Mary Ann Naif, on the Resiliency Committee. Yes, this particular grant is going to sort of partner and be a add-on to the project that Ransom Consulting did for Harpswell in checking sea level rise in our town. And they basically took in wave run-up, and in consideration of some of the islands that are right off of the shore, evidently makes a difference on how the water hits the land, in which I see fishermen here that probably know that. But at any rate, that particular project that we're using now, and is our floodplain maps that were in effect, is based on historical knowledge. This particular project is going to take that data and it's going to model on future storms. What we have now is going to be is going to show some areas having less expected sea level rise than others. I'm going to refer back to, I believe, the Dolphin Marina a few years ago. It was estimated that they were going to have a much higher model of what sea level rise would be. They were able to work with this firm to adjust it based on this background data, not data, but really measurement, and it reduced the amount. So it's going to be a very good, I think, tool for the town, and not only just for as you look at rebuilding wharfs in the fishing community, but for the town planning, where we're going to have more marsh migration, how to plan there, and even as we think going forward, how we might want to bring some highlights to areas that people should be thinking about before they develop. So we're hoping that this will be a tool that'll be used by various parts of town. It's going to be interactive. It will be a modeling device that anyone in town can use once the project's done. So the interesting thing on this, and I'm not sure that we're going to get into this tonight, but Ransom did that project for NOAA and for FEMA, not NOAA, FEMA. That was protected. So basically, that information that was developed is not available to be used. However, the 3 engineers that worked on the project now are with Stantec. They quoted this project based on the fact that they would be able to utilize the knowledge that they have from working on the project and add to that.
No concept.
We were also given an additional $5,000, more than we asked for, because this is going to be a grant that is awarded through NOAA's Climate Resilience Challenge and does have much more in-depth and, I don't want to use the word stringent, but they want to keep it tracked as we go along rather than at the end of the project. So it's going to take more administrative, which I'm sure I'll speak with Terry, depending on how the town office here, I'm sure the committee could be helpful on that. But they awarded another $5,000 to account for that extra cost.
I'm good.
So,
So the total grant is 85,000?
80,000. 80,000 is the money that we're getting, and we put in 5, so it brings it to 85.
Good job.
Well, I move we accept the grant, first of all, and authorize our town administrator to sign it. Sound right?
Yeah, I'll second it for sure.
Right.
I like the idea.
Any discussion? No?
Well done.
Good.
All in
And I
favor?
think the important thing is really to get out to the public to realize how this can work to their benefit, as well as,
It seems more accurate for sure.
yeah. Great.
Okay. All in
Thank you.
favor?
Thank you,
Sorry.
Mary Ann.
Thank you.
Late on the hand rise.
All right, set a public hearing to consider Quahog Bay Conservation closure for July 10th. Yes.
Yeah. That's our next meeting, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Did Paul have I don't know if my mic's working. Did Paul have a time in his memo?
I don't know if there was a time suggested for that.
No.
Wanna do 6:15?
this-
What's that?
6:15?
Sure. Yeah.
Did they move?
No.
No, wait. What day are we doing this?
On the 10th, it's a Thursday.
The next board meeting.
2 weeks from tomorrow. It seems strange driving the parking lot, forgetting that was
You said what,
Wednesday.
6:30?
I know.
Parking lot's
Yeah.
empty.
6:15?
6:15.
This screwed me all up this week.
All right, well, I move we set the public hearing for 7:10 at 6:15.
I'm on a streak. I'll second this one too.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment? Other business?
Tim?
I think we just want to mention that the non-resident taxpayer meeting is going to be Monday, July 7th.
Thank you, because I have it written in 2 different places
Oh,
here. so-
okay. At 6 PM at Harpswell Community School, so that's going to happen before your next meeting. And then there was a comp plan task force committee meeting in Cundy's Harbor last night,
Yep.
and it was
Yeah.
quite well attended. It was a
Yeah.
great
Especially
meeting.
considering the weather.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The building was comfortable.
Yeah.
And I know community television was there taping it, so I think there's a copy of it for people to see. And then the next meeting is going to be at the Orrs Island Schoolhouse on Tuesday, July 8th. And I believe that's at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we just want to get the word out about those meetings coming up.
The public hearing for the shellfish closure will be here?
Yes.
This room? Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be part of your regular agenda.
Yeah. Oh, other business, we should thank Thayer Engineering for everything
Yeah.
working nice yesterday.
That's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
point, yeah.
I didn't see a heater or a fan in Terry's office, so,
You'd never see a heater.
You wouldn't see a heater in there.
but the fan probably going, but even down in Flanders' office, it was kind of
Yeah.
nice.
Parts of the building that used to be really hot are comfortable now, which is a huge improvement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're adjourned.
All right.